Mike, did you know that we have a Patreon?
I am aware, yes. We've had it for quite a while now.
We have a Patreon, and one of the features on the Patreon is that if you subscribe at, what tier is it?
I think it was Buddy Chicken
is it Buddy
tier.
Chicken?
Yeah, it was Buddy Chicken tier.
If you subscribe at Buddy Chicken tier or higher, you can ask us questions every month.
And we will answer them. That's at least the goal. We're starting to do it right now. We're gonna answer some questions that have been submitted. And we definitely appreciate all the support that has been given to us over the years. Thank you for allowing us to continue making these fun videos, even when YouTube can be a little unpredictable. You know, the ad revenue is not consistent. Some days you're living high, some days you're living not so high.
Sometimes YouTube is a giant butt.
Sometimes YouTube starts demonetizing random videos because there was a decapitated head on a pike near a Raiders stronghold, and YouTube saw that and says, no, this video can't be monetized now.
Sometimes YouTube just thinks a demolished building is something that's bad, and you can't show that, and you don't know for like 2 months until you randomly remove that part of the video, and then YouTube's like, oh wait, now you're fine.
So on to the questions.
Have you considered giving Warframe a try? As a Warframe addict myself, I think it has everything you need for your co-op gameplay style that we all love. I actually used to play a lot of Warframe. I kind of stopped playing it. I stopped playing it when they went to like open world, and then because it's been so long since I played it, I just haven't really felt like going back.
I think you had a big issue with them making guns weaker, different tiers they would do.
No, that probably was Destiny 2, which I also used to play. No, I kind of lost interest in Warframe and just haven't really gone back to it. I might be willing to try it again. I don't know. I feel like it's been so long since I played it at this point that I would be really lost.
And I think I may have played it once, but yeah, I've never been heavily into it myself.
It's not a bad game by any means. It is a pay to not grind game.
That sounds insufferable.
It's like basically, do you want this new Warframe that just came out? Well, you can either spend the next 2 weeks farming stuff to grind out the components for it, or you can just pay us $5.
Or I could move on and play a different game. Spend my limited time on this earth better. That's an option.
I don't mind it. It was fun. I enjoyed playing. I mean, because the game is free, so like.
Oh yeah, which is probably why I played it.
You're paying for the game in different ways as opposed to just paying an upfront cost for it.
Sure.
I don't think it's bad. It's just been so long since I played it that I don't know if I could get back into it, but I might be willing to try it again.
I honestly don't mind paying a little bit of extra here and there for a game I really do enjoy. Back when I used to play a fair amount of Overwatch, I didn't mind buying the occasional skin. You know, back when they had the Overwatch League store, you could actually buy a skin instead of going through their loot box gambling system. I didn't mind throwing $5 on a skin here and there because I was playing and enjoying it a lot. But these days, the monetization is so egregious. I'm not going to pay $40 for a skin.
Yeah.
You can just fuck off with that.
Yeah. I thought it was a fun game. It might be something we can look into in the future.
Yeah. What is your dream vacation destination if money isn't an issue?
You go first.
Well, I know my girlfriend Anne would like to revisit Hawaii or New Zealand, and those sound like fun locations to visit. Can I choose the moon? Because if money isn't an issue and I can go to the moon, that would be pretty awesome. I could definitely afford everything else, but I currently can't afford the moon. So if you give me one vacation destination for free, I pick moon.
I pick back in time. No. Moon aside, I really want to go to Japan at some point because I am kind of a weeb.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool places.
There are.
We
We just don't.
Japan.
We don't get to travel enough.
Yeah, I would like to go to Japan. I think it would be really cool to go to Ireland or Scotland. Most places in Europe I think would be really cool. Japan is probably like at the top of the list for like if I could go to anywhere and money isn't going to be an issue, Japan would be the top of the list. Because then I'm flying. Then I'm like chartering a private flight to Japan, so I don't have to pay to sit in a metal tube for 16 hours with a bunch of other people like crammed in next to him. Then yeah, if money isn't an issue, then I'm getting a private flight to Japan.
There's the extra caveat. If money isn't an issue, then I'm going to the moon, but there's nothing to buy on the moon. You go to Japan and you buy everything because money isn't an issue anymore.
I guess, it depends on how much of money isn't an issue. Are you just talking about getting there, or are you talking about, like, the whole thing? Because if it's the whole thing...
Buy as many souvenirs as you want.
If it's the whole thing, then I am buying an entire Gachapon store. Like, all of it. The whole store. I'm buying the whole thing. Because
I'm buying all the animation studios and making the animes I want.
I need more little tiny plastic tchotchkes. I don't have enough of those, clearly. Yeah, Japan would be one of them.
Sounds good. What did you think of the last update for The Long Dark? Did you get to try it out before the cougar was removed or didn't have time? Did you know about this?
I did not know about this. It's been a long time since I played The Long Dark.
Okay, I haven't played it in a while either, but I am more in tune with what's going on with the game. So that game's been out for it's been out for 10 years at this point. They still haven't finished the main campaign. Still got 4 out of 5 chapters.
Okay.
But they've got more content continuously being pushed out for survival mode and their add-on DLC ticket. And they added a cougar, but it wasn't implemented very well. Basically, if you lingered in an area for too long, they just play a random cougar animation. People were expecting to be stalked by a cougar and they'd be able to turn around and see one following or hiding behind trees. But no, it was literally just if you randomly get attacked by a cougar. An animation plays.
It just plays like a cutscene?
It basically, yeah, you're walking around, an animation plays of you being attacked by a cougar, and you stand up and you look around, the cougar's gone. And it was implemented in a way that many people did not like.
That kind of sucks.
They removed it within a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get to try it out before that. I haven't played it in quite a while. I think the last update I played of The Long Dark was it Ash Lake? No, Ash Lake.
Ash Canyon, maybe?
Dark Souls.
Ash Canyon, maybe?
It was when that update was added to the game.
It's a great game, and I do love how they continuously add updates. I got the additional expanded pass so I can check out the new areas. I have not played much of that, though. Long Dark is kind of hit and miss for me. I really like the areas where it feels like I'm exploring a relatively safe, empty area. Sometimes there's danger lurking around the corner, but there's a lot of empty buildings to explore. I can explore, scavenge in a pre-war area. Kind of gives you that Fallout 3 sense of just exploration and checking out the ruins of the civilization that's long gone. But there are other maps where it's just a really linear, really difficult challenge. Get to the top of this mountain or get all the way to the end of this area. And those areas I'm just less inclined to explore.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you, just because it's like... It is interesting to explore those, but the times that I'm like the most interested in The Long Dark is when I find a building to explore, because then it's like, oh, what could be in here? So yeah, I can understand it. I will not deny that the game is absolutely beautiful, and The Long Dark is the only survival game that I actually enjoy playing.
Yeah, survival crafting games.
I don't like survival crafting games. There are 2 survival crafting games that I like playing, and it's Minecraft, and I barely play that. And Long Dark.
Yeah, and for me it would be Long Dark or maybe Subnautica, because I did enjoy a lot of Subnautica.
So...
yeah, the most fun I've had with The Long Dark is usually just staying in the lighthouse area or the coastal area where you start off for that challenge.
I like the coastal village.
There's that one challenge, that one, what do you call it? A challenge mode where you're trying to amass enough supplies for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I like that one.
That's my favorite little side quest mission thing that they have. And I remember I was doing my 3rd or 4th attempt of this, and I was really struggling to find the supplies. And I went further off course than I usually do, and I stumbled upon an entire hydroelectric dam. And I went, holy crap, I have not seen this before. This is amazing. And I spent the next hour just exploring a hydroelectric dam. If the additional content was more like that, I would be super enthralled and I would keep on going back to it. But I think the last time I went back, they added an airfield, and it was a lot of large, open, not all that interesting areas. Not many abandoned areas to explore, just a lot of trudging your way across open airfields, and that's not the best part of the game. The game can be kind of tedious trudging across large open areas. I still enjoy it though.
Yeah, it's still a really fun game. I should go back to it at some point.
I think I've read myself out on that one because I would just play it for hours listening to podcasts while I'm playing that game. It's a great game to play while you're listening to things.
I noticed that Zach tried out Project Zomboid and wasn't too big a fan of it. However, with the Steam Workshop being as abundant as it is for mods that work well with both single player and multiplayer alike, they make the game increasingly fun with outfits, weapons, and vehicles. Could see you and Zach trying a duo playthrough where you survive in zombie-infested Kentucky. I didn't really like Project Zomboid. very much.
There are some games you sit down and it just doesn't immediately click with you.
It just didn't really click with me. I don't know if maybe it would be better with other people, but...
Or if you had a different tutorial, because I know that was an issue for Minecraft as well. I sit down and I tried to play that one and I couldn't figure out what's going on. And people say, oh, you gotta follow a tutorial. This was back before like tutorials were really... This was back before the game had really been developed, but...
When you're talking about Minecraft, there is a mod that basically, it's like, it adds a tutorial to the game that's more like... You get an achievement every time you do the next step in the tutorial, which makes it a little bit more fun. It makes it kind of like you're going down the crafting tree, or not the research tree or something. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'd be willing to give Project Zomboid another try, but like I tried it, I played it for like 2-3 hours, and I had a really hard time getting into it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Like I said, I don't really like survival crafting games very much. It's very difficult for me to get invested in them.
Yeah. And we might go back to it sometime, because there have been games where I go back and give a game a second chance and it becomes one of my favorite games of all time. I'd say Outer Wilds and Fallout 3 both fall into those categories. I played them initially, didn't like them as much as I would have liked to, then gave it a second chance. In Fallout 3's case, it was 2 years later I gave it a second chance. And, I liked it. I had a good time with it. So maybe one day I'll go back and give Project Zomboid another chance. There are just so many games out there.
Yeah, that's the problem, is there's a lot of games.
If a game doesn't make a good first impression, it's really easy to move on and try something new.
Yep. Have you two ever considered being guests on other podcasts? If they invite us.
Yeah, possibly. But we also like to spend time with each other on our own podcast, so we're not really actively seeking out other podcasts.
They just need to get a hold of us. That's pretty much it.
Sure. What are your thoughts on video game TV shows such as Cyberpunk Edgerunners and the Halo TV show?
I feel like most of the time, video game TV shows are not done well. Example being the Halo TV show, which was canceled because it did really poorly.
I feel like video game TV shows are like every other kind of TV shows in the sense that they can be good or bad. So it's like asking us how I feel about TV shows. I like them if they're good.
But in the example of like the Halo TV show, where the showrunners not only did not play the source material, are very proud of the fact that they're not following the source material. Like, the people that made the Halo TV show were basically like, oh yeah, we never played any of the Halo games, and we're telling our own story. And it's just like, why? Why are you doing that?
Just paid for the license, not actually...
Yeah, well, the Halo TV show got canceled because of how poorly received it was.
But I've heard good things about Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I haven't watched it myself, haven't really been into the... what's that intellectual property's name?
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. It's in the title, yeah. I haven't played a whole lot of Cyberpunk. I haven't gotten into Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I think both you and I played a bit of Cyberpunk on release. We were not impressed, and we just never went back to it. Because again, there's so many games out there.
Yeah, Cyberpunk Edgerunners was very well received.
And so was the Fallout TV show. People enjoyed the Fallout TV show.
I don't really watch a whole lot of TV. So, like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm not the best person to ask about my thoughts on video game TV shows.
Are there any video games you'd like to see made into a TV show? That maybe not a long TV show, but maybe like a miniseries you'd be interested in?
Not really, because generally my opinion is if I want to consume media of that specific franchise, then I'll just play the game.
Well, the one that comes to my mind would obviously be Overwatch, because that's a game that doesn't actually tell a story, but it has so many interesting characters that have cool stories and you want to see them play out.
It would be, honestly, it would be really cool if Blizzard made an Overwatch TV show or an Overwatch movie. Like, some of the shorts that they made for Overwatch were really good. The one about Bastion was absolutely amazing.
And they came out with one recently that was more 2D animated with Malga that was really well done. Like, they occasionally put out some really amazing animatics and cinematics.
All the 3D animated cutscenes for Diablo 3 were awesome. They were really good, but it's just like they make more money on video games, so they're not going to make a movie because you're spending a lot of money to make not as much money as you would have if you had just made the game or just made more loot boxes. What are your thoughts on the Metro series, and would you guys be interested in checking it out again? The only Metro game I've played is the first one.
That 2033?
Yeah, Metro 2033.
Yeah, I played that one too.
I think I played the Redux version. I don't remember which version I played. I think it was Metro 2033 Redux. I wasn't super into it. The problem I ran into with the Metro 2033 game was I did not like the sound design. I thought a lot of the guns sounded really weak. It sounded like a lot of stock sound effects instead of more curated sound effects. Sound design is really important to me in like video games. I have stopped using guns in video games because they don't sound good. Even if the gun is just absolutely overpowered, if it's like you have a rifle that's stupidly overpowered, but it goes like when you shoot it, I'm not gonna use it. So like sound design is really important to me in video games. I didn't particularly care for the sound design in Metro 2033. Clearly, it's not a bad game. People really, really like that game.
People enjoy
it. So clearly, it is not a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game. I just couldn't really get into it. Maybe that's something I could look into in the future is playing Metro again. Maybe there's a mod to kind of change how the weapons sound or something.
Possibly, yeah.
Or maybe my brain is just absolutely borked and the game actually sounded good. And
Maybe you just give it a second chance and maybe you realize that maybe your initial issues with it were overblown.
That's entirely possible. So I won't say no. I'm not interested in checking it out again. That's something I'm definitely interested, or that's something I can definitely look into in the future. I will add an addendum to this question because it's something that I know we get asked a lot, or it's something I know I get asked a lot is, will I play any of the Stalker games? I tried playing one of the previous Stalker games. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it was. I had a really hard time getting into it. It was like the jank felt just kind of weird.
Are you bringing that up right now because both games have kind of a similar vibe to them?
Usually if I get asked about Metro, I get asked about Stalker almost immediately after. So this is a little bonus question for you guys. I tried playing one of the Stalker games. I forget which one it was. I'm sorry. I can't remember. But I think it was one that came out around the same time as Fallout New Vegas. So I want to say like 2009-ish, sometime right around there. I had a hard time getting into it. The jank felt kind of weird to me because like Fallout New Vegas is kind of jank.
Yeah.
It's a little jank, but like you if you started playing Fallout New Vegas, then you're used to the jank, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I think the problem is because it came out, because I didn't play it when it came out, I wasn't really used to the jank.
Yeah.
I do think the environment is really, really cool, and there is a new Stalker game that is coming out. I am definitely going to play that. I'm absolutely going to play that game. I don't know if we're going to make a video on it or not. I am going to play it.
Okay.
So, to answer your question on Metro, I might look into it. Stalker, I'm definitely looking into the one that's coming out.
And as for me, I have played a bit of Metro. I think I have a video out on the channel. You can dig it up. I'll post a link to it in the whatever. But I played it for a few hours, had a good time with it, but it's not really my genre of game. It takes a while. The first-person shooters generally aren't my kind of thing, and the game series itself is kind of bleak. And I'm more of a goofy, campy kind of guy, so those are two bigger hurdles that made it more difficult for me to enjoy the series. I didn't think they were bad when I played them, and I would be open to playing them in the future, but I haven't.
Also, the guns in Metro don't really bother me that much. Yeah, I know they look goofy and they're horrible cursed guns, but it's whatever. It's a post-apocalyptic game. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. When did you realize that the weird dual perspective edit that you started doing in the first Fallout New Vegas videos wasn't going to work out?
I would say in like the first one or two videos, because like you didn't really do it much.
I didn't do it very much because it does require me to go back after we finished our recording and try and record a scene in the exact same lighting, in the exact same setting, but with a different perspective and hope things work out. It's a lot of extra work for honestly not much benefit. So it's a very fine line making these videos. You want them to be good, so you put a lot of effort into them, but you don't want to put so much effort into them that it's the only thing you work on for a month. You've got to manage your time better.
This would also be a good point to bring up. I see comments in almost every single video that it's like, is this actually multiplayer? And no, it isn't. The way we record this is I come over to Mike's house and we sit down in front of the computer and we play whatever game it is, and then we just talk to each other while we're playing the game.
Yes, and I'm role-playing as the NPC that's moving around at Zach's side.
So if the NPC ever does something and I yell at Mike about it, it's Mike didn't actually do that thing. I'm yelling at the NPC.
Alternatively, I did set it up so the NPC would do something stupid so that I could get Zach's goat. So I did actually do that.
Sometimes
preemptively, yes.
But yeah, it's not actually multiplayer. It's literally just the two of us sitting next to each other and yelling at the computer.
And I do employ a variety of tricks to make it seem like I am the second player, but yeah, there's no multiplayer over here. Have you ever dressed your cats in silly costumes and taken pictures of them? If so, please show us.
I don't have any cats.
I don't think I have many pictures of them in silly costumes, but yeah, I will show you a picture of JoJo and Petey being silly. Sure, well, I'll put them up right now. So, there you go. Petey and JoJo are wonderful additions to the family that I'm happy to have, and they are very loving. They're very loving.
We hear a lot about Zach and guns, but what about Mike? Does Mike enjoy shooting as a hobby or even go to the range for fun with Zach a couple times a year?
I wouldn't say a couple times a year. It's not anything regular. I have gone to the range with you a couple times, but it's not really my kind of hobby. I don't do it on the regular. I used to go hunting quite a bit. Used to go hunting with my dad. We haven't done that in quite a while, but I know my way around a firearm generally, but it's not a thing I do regularly now. I certainly don't collect as many firearms as
I collect a lot of guns.
Yeah.
I have a lot of guns collected. I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually really like guns. I think they're really interesting. I think they're really cool mechanically.
Did airsoft guns start you down that path? Or
No, I was interested in guns when I was like in first grade. I've been interested in guns since like when I was a little tiny baby boy, when I was a little wee baby babu boy. My mom had said, and she told me this later. My mom said, I don't want to he will not have any toy guns. And will not let him have toy guns. Because I don't want him I don't want him to think that guns are toys, so on.
They're responsible, sure.
She brought me to the park when I was very, very little. And immediately I found a stick that was vaguely gun-shaped and picked it up and started going, pew, 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 pew. My mom was just like, it doesn't matter. He can have toy guns. He's just going to do that.
Yep.
He's going to do that. If I take that away, he's just going to make finger guns and go bang, 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 bang. So, all right, I guess he can have toy guns. I've been interested in firearms for as long as I can remember.
All right. But to answer your question, maybe not as much me, no. Do you guys plan on selling merch? I remember you guys talking about it on a podcast episode. Yeah. Hopefully we can get that going soon. We've been talking about it for many a month, but we haven't done it yet. We'll let you know when we get there. Are there any RPGs, role-playing games, that you guys think is a solid 10 out of 10? Fallout New Vegas, that counts?
Yeah. Fallout New Vegas. It's because I'm going to be hyper specific. Well, technically no game is a 10 out of 10 because every single game has a problem with it. So we're going to just pretend that doesn't exist.
Best of the best, whatever you want to.
Yeah, best of the best. Fallout New Vegas is definitely up there. Fallout New Vegas is
an action role-playing game, yep.
Yeah, an action role-playing game. Well, Fallout New Vegas is a really good role-playing game. I would say Dark Souls and Bloodborne are both ones because, like, if you go into that game, if you go into Dark Souls or Bloodborne with, I am making this character, I have created, this is my character's backstory, they can only use this type of weapons, I'm only going to spec into these specific things,
okay,
so that I can only use those weapons, and I will play the game as if that is the way they will do that. It is really fun and really rewarding to play through Dark Souls or Bloodborne like that.
Okay. I don't think those are normally classified as role-playing games from the genre standpoint, but you can consider them those.
I would classify them more as a role-playing game than a lot of other what people consider to be role-playing games.
Sure.
I would consider Dark Souls or Bloodborne to be more of a role-playing game than Fallout 4.
Okay, yeah.
Because Fallout 4, you are playing the role of Nate or Nora. And maybe it's your version of Nate or Nora, but it's still Nate or Nora.
Right. I think the role-playing aspect comes from the ways you can resolve quests, and sometimes you can choose to side with one faction over another.
But you can't really resolve quests in different ways in Fallout 4.
That's why people say Fallout 4 is not a very good role-playing game. But anyway, can you do that in Dark Souls and in Bloodborne and the games you mentioned? Can you resolve quests or settle fights in alternate ways? Can you do it on your own terms, or is it just choosing the gun you use to kill them or choosing the weapon?
There are other NPCs in the game, and in Bloodborne, yes, there are ways that you can have the NPC's quest line play out in different ways, but because it's a FromSoft game, basically every single NPC quest line ends in, and then they died, the end.
I see.
Pretty much every single one. It's kind of a letdown, I'm gonna be honest, but whatever, everything sucks.
Yeah. I think I have 3 other games I would add to a list of role-playing games that I think are a solid 10 out of 10. I would say Chrono Trigger, Really well done game from the Super Nintendo era that isn't padded to hell. It's not full of random encounters. It's actually really well paced, and the characters are all really well done. And there is a bit of variance in how you go through the game, and you can beat it in a couple. There's a lot of different endings. So that's definitely what I would say is one of the games I would consider 10 out of 10. Absolutely. I would say Final Fantasy VI, the remastered version that just came out recently on Steam. The original version that
They remastered Final Fantasy VI?
it's like a pixel remaster, so they improved a lot of. They got rid of all the bugs. They improved a lot of the music. They revamped like the original 6 Final Fantasies.
I might have to play that one because that's the only Final Fantasy game that I actually like.
The original 6 Final Fantasy games were recently remastered on Steam, so you can get all the. They're called the pixel remasters, and it's basically the original games, but they've made a lot of minor improvements. The sprites have all been touched up. The music has been beautifully orchestrated. They fixed all of the bugs and the balancing issues. So I would say the original SNES version of Final Fantasy VI would be kind of up there, but it has a lot of bugs. But this pixel remaster...
Also, you have to have an SNES version to play it.
Yeah, legally. But the pixel remaster would probably be up there. I'd say Final Fantasy VI pixel remaster would probably be a 10 out of 10.
I had no idea they redid that, and I actually want to play that now because that, like I said, that is the only Final Fantasy game that I actually liked playing.
I think it's one of the few Final Fantasy games I can see myself going back to because I have played a lot of Final Fantasy games and I enjoyed a lot of them. I started on Final Fantasy VIII, so I always have a nostalgic fondness for that one. But I don't think I'd go back and play it these days because it's a lot of tedium.
Part of the problem with the RPGs that I think are a solid 10 out of 10 is it depends on what you define as an RPG. Because I would argue that most JRPGs are not role-playing games. Because you are playing the character that they came up with for that game.
Right, so I guess in that definition...
So like when you play Final Fantasy VII, I would argue that isn't a role-playing game because you're playing Cloud Strife.
Right.
You're not playing a character that you came up with. However, then it depends on your definition of an RPG. Is an RPG where you're playing the role of Cloud Strife?
Yeah.
Or is an RPG a game where you're playing the role of the character that you designed? So is it an RPG in more of the classic D&D sense or in the literal definition of you are playing this role?
I guess I'll differentiate. My definition of a role-playing game is a game where you don't necessarily have to have your own identity for a character, but you have to be able to affect the plot in some way. You have to be able to change the narrative how you see fit. You need to be able to alter the world. And definitely you can do that in Fallout New Vegas. You can wipe out entire factions, kill anyone you like. And it's more limited in Fallout 4 and things like that. But as long as you have some influence on how the story progresses, I would consider that a role-playing game. But I think the more traditional definition is JRPGs. You know, you got hit points and you take turns battling.
Yeah. The turn-based doesn't necessarily have to be a part of it, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, for RPGs that I think are a solid 10 out of 10, Fallout New Vegas, Bloodborne, Dark Souls, I would argue that those are really good RPGs. I think Final Fantasy VI is a really good game. I remember playing Final Fantasy VI when I was like a teenager, and I really liked that. I liked Chrono Trigger, so yeah, I would agree with Mike on those ones.
The last game I want to add to that list is I think the first Telltale's Walking Dead also kind of fits that role, because even though you are fitting the role of Lee Everett, the protagonist, you can customize him in your own way. And yeah, the story is kind of linear, but you can make alliances with different characters, and you can choose who to align with, you can choose who to save or what to say, or you can choose to be quiet. And there's a lot more variance for a very linear, story-driven game. So I'd say that's a pretty good RPG in that sense.
I don't know if I would say it's an RPG, but...
No, most people wouldn't qualify it as an RPG, but I like that role-playing aspect where the Lee Everett that I play is different from the Lee Everett that somebody else plays.
I guess I don't really play a whole lot of RPGs.
Fair enough.
Will you and Zach play Dragon Age Trilogy the same way you played Mass Effect?
How do you feel about the Dragon Age trilogy?
I've never played them.
What are your opinions on them? Do you have any?
I guess not really.
If they were like Mass Effect, would you consider playing them?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's a thing that's necessarily in high demand. Isn't there a new one coming out?
The fourth one, yes. Veilguard, I believe it's called.
The only thing I know about Dragon Age is that the character you play as in the second one is in the third one as some, like, not necessarily a companion you can recruit, but, like, they're there.
Yeah.
And is the third one the one where you're, like, the judge or, like, the king?
Yeah,
can
you do
decide
have
things. The only other thing I know about the third one is there's a lady that's like your secretary.
Yes.
That she's kind of hot. And also, at one point, they bring you a dude, a dead guy in a box, and they're like, you need to judge him. And it's like, well, he's dead, so...
I sentenced the box to hard labor,
Yeah, that's really all I know about Dragon Age.
Okay, I can tell you, I've played the first 3 games. I've played the entire trilogy so far, and in my opinion, I would say I'm not sure they're your kind of games, because it's the kind of game that I didn't really care for the combat. It's that top-down tactical casting spells on your enemy, and you all take turns whacking each other for a bit.
Kind of like XCOM?
Not that kind of turn-based. It's all like real-time, I believe. They're all just like taking turns.
Oh no, that might be even
spells.
worse for me.
I think if you saw the gameplay, you would immediately recoil from it. It was the kind of thing that I put up with the combat, even though it wasn't my kind of thing, because the story and characters were so good. I would turn the difficulty down to very easy to get past it as quickly as I could, because I wasn't really there for the combat. I didn't really care about tactically managing my party.
I'm going to say something that might piss some people off. The only way you could make XCOM less appealing to me is if you made the combat real time. That would be the only way you could make me just be like, no, I'm never playing this game. I won't do it. You can't make me do it. And then someone's like, here's $6,000. And I go, okay, you can make me do it. But that doesn't sound fun.
The customization options for Dragon Age's combat are pretty good, because you've got a party of 4, and you can control the person who's the one person in your party, and you can tell them cast spells now. There's a bar at the bottom of the screen, cast spell, hit with stick, etc., etc. And your other 3 teammates are all AI controlled, and you can take control of them if you want to. But normally they're following their logic, and you can actually go into like their programming and tell them, if your health is below 10%, use a healing item on yourself.
Okay.
Like, you could give them different AI patterns.
Maybe, that might be something that I'd have to look into. I'd have to like kind of play around with it a bit. But because I got the ADHD real bad, when it's like a real-time combat, but I'm not like actively aiming and attacking at enemies. If it's real-time combat from a top-down angle where you have to hover over an enemy and select that enemy and tell them to attack that enemy, and you have to do that for multiple people, this is why I don't play real-time strategies.
Yeah.
This is why I don't play Warcraft or StarCraft, because I can't. My brain will not let me do it. My brain is just like, no, but you're supposed to be working with the one tank that's right there. And meanwhile, they're Zerg rushing my base, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So
That's basically what the combat is. It's RTS combat.
Oh, no, I can't.
It's a role-playing game with RTS combat.
I don't know if I could do that.
So my opinion on those 3 games are, the first one is really, really, really good. There's no voiced protagonist. There's a lot of variance in how you want to build your party. You can side with a lot of different factions. The role-playing is really well done, and you're going on these grand adventures. The first Dragon Age game is really well done, and I think you would actually enjoy it. Yeah, you wouldn't enjoy the combat probably. You'd be like me, turning the combat all the way down, the difficulty down, just to get through it. But I think you'd actually enjoy the story and the characters. I think they're interesting. And if you do like it, you can consider the other games, but the other games in the series aren't as good. The second game has a voice protagonist now, and it's a lot more streamlined, and like all these different plot points. It's a lot more linear, a lot less variance, because they're trying to tell a more specific story. And then the third game reverts some of that, but also it expands it way too big. Like they overcorrected by a lot, and now you're walking around a giant open map, just kind of looking for things to do, and it's not great. I don't like that. But the first game is good. The first game is one of the best role-playing games, like actually by the standard definition of role-playing games. Yeah, that fit the mold too. Dragon Age 1 is a great role-playing game.
I don't want to say no, we'll never play that game ever, but like it doesn't really interest me.
It's something
especially after hearing that the combat is basically RTS combat, because now I'm even more like
I think it's one of the things you should definitely sample. You should try it out, maybe on stream, play it for a few hours, see how you feel about it.
maybe.
I think if you play it for a little bit, the characters might endear themselves to you enough to encourage you to keep playing.
There's a stream idea. Playing Dragon Age either until I decide to return it or playing Dragon Age either until I decide to return it or I like it. I got 2 hours.
And who knows, maybe 2 hours is all you need.
I don't know. One of the only other things I do know about Dragon Age is that there's the I forget what they're called. It's not. Is it Templars? What are they called?
Yeah, like the Templars and the Mages.
There's the Templars, and basically it's like, we have this drug that if you use this drug, it'll make you super powerful, but don't use it. Don't use it. And literally every single, from what I've seen of Dragon Age, literally every Templar is like, oh no, a mild inconvenience, better use the drug that makes me super powerful but makes me go crazy. Every single one. And every mage in the game is like, oh no, a minor inconvenience, better use blood magic. Literally, that's all. And everybody in this entire world is going, don't use the drugs, don't use blood magic, what the hell are you doing? And every single one of them, the moment there's an inconvenience, blood magic! That's all I know about Dragon Age. Which is, to be fair, that is probably incorrect.
No, it's actually not that far off.
Oh my god.
I think it's worth looking into, if nothing else.
As a fellow around 40 year older, how is your back? It's in pain.
Yeah. Yeah. The back.
It's not great.
The knees.
It's not great.
The back again.
It's annoying. I'm trying to exercise, but I'm lazy and I have bad posture.
Yeah, and my posture's even worse, I feel. And I spend too much time in front of the computer, so it really messes me up. But thank you for asking.
Is there a game you wish would be multiplayer so you could play together for the channel?
No, I would say Fallout, but then we got Fallout 76, so be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Well, I told you Outer Wilds would be a good option. I know there was an Outer Wilds mod. We never ended up finishing that game.
Is there an Outer Wilds mod?
I think there was a multiplayer Outer Wilds mod. I
Huh.
think you'd be able to enjoy that a lot playing with me.
Possibly. It's one of the things that, like, I felt weirdly pressured playing it.
Yeah.
Which I would be willing to play Outer Wilds again and actually beat it, because that game is actually really cool. Outer Wilds would be a neat one to play multiplayer.
It was just really that one planet that it's filling up with sand. It's very, very intense.
To be completely honest, it wasn't really the game. I was having a time when we were recording that episode. So it's more of that. You know what would be stupid but really funny?
What's that?
Alien Isolation multiplayer.
That would be fun.
Oh, do you know what actually would be really cool multiplayer?
Yeah.
Would be Derail Valley Simulator.
Oh, yeah?
The dumb train game that I keep playing on stream.
Yeah, you seem to
that
be
would
enjoying
actually
it.
be a lot of fun multiplayer.
Okay.
I saw a mod for it that enables you to do route planning. So it's a mod that basically it uses like a type of it uses an algorithm and also like a separate program that you can plan out the route you're going to take. So it automatically switches all of the gates. Or it automatically switches all the points so that you're just going the correct way. There's even a way that you can set that mod up so that somebody else can use an iPad or an iPhone to control whether or not the gates are open.
Okay.
Which is really interesting that you can set it up like that. But I think it would be cool if you could just have two people running the same train at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think that would be kind of neat. Let's see, what else?
Long Dark and Subnautica, I think, would be a lot of fun, because I know you're not all that interested in Subnautica, but I think if there were a co-op version of Subnautica, we could have a lot of fun with that.
I was about to say Resident Evil 4, but then I remembered that Resident Evil 5 exists, so we could just play that multiplayer.
And we did, and we had a blast with it.
Oh
Metal Gear Solid. Hey, do you want to sit through this 80-minute cutscene or nah?
God. No, Hideo Kojima's gonna make you sit through that cutscene. You know, honestly, on the same topic is that Death Stranding would actually be kind of fun to play multiplayer if you had a second person with you that could help you with stuff.
Yeah, I see
That would be kind of cool. I would play Death Stranding multiplayer.
Yeah.
You know what might be kind of fun to play together at some point would be Warhammer Darktide. That might be fun to play together.
Is that a cooperative game?
It's a first-person shooter.
Is it cooperative?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's like online.
Sure.
I think it's only like 3 people are in there. Are there any games you guys play outside of videos just to unwind or not to have to worry about filming for content? I haven't played it a lot recently, but SnowRunner is one that I would just play to like just kind of shut my brain off. Forza Horizon, the most recent Forza Horizon game, which I think is 5. I'll play that one without streaming it. Usually it's like driving games, actually, now that I think about it. Voices of the Void is one that I've been playing a lot of.
In your free time?
Yeah.
Okay.
In my free time or on stream.
Yeah, I usually go through phases where I play a game to death for a month and then I move on. I think this month has been Balatro. I played a lot of that game. I unlocked all the jokers and vouchers and stuff like that. For me, it's usually all or nothing. Either I'll enjoy a game for 2 hours and then immediately move on, or where I'll like a game way too much and put way too much time into it in my spare time.
Games like Death Stranding, Control, those are two games that I really like playing, but that, like, I don't usually stream them just because it seems like people really aren't interested in watching those games.
You do have to be considerate about what games you make videos on and stream because, you know, people aren't going to want to watch you necessarily play these games.
Yeah. Oh, there's a game that came out recently that I think I played it for like 3 hours straight one night. That was just, it's Angerfoot.
Angerfoot.
Yeah. It's a first-person shooter, but it's kind of like a Twitch shooter where you just the goal is to just clear the level as fast as possible. But you pick up guns, and instead of reloading them, you just throw the gun at the enemy, and then you just pick up another one, and you kick people. And the goal of the game is to get your shoes back.
Okay.
Because a rival gang stole all of your really hot kicks.
That is a very fun concept.
It's really goofy. It's really goofy. It's really fun.
And then there are games like Guitar Hero. I play that occasionally, but you can't really like do that. Here's a video of me clacking on this plastic guitar for 4 minutes.
Yeah, especially because most of that audio is going to be copyrighted, so you can't actually play the audio.
Nobody wants to see you get a B+ ranking in a Guitar Hero song.
Anyway, those are the questions for this month.
The month of August. Yes, thank you all for submitting those questions, and thank you all for supporting us on Patreon.
Thank you very much. And if you subscribe at the Buddy Chicken tier or above, you also can ask us questions.
And we'll answer them next time. And we don't quite know how to end this video, so... Is there any question you want to ask me, Zach?
Well, I'm not a patron, so I can't ask you a question.
Oh, dang it. I think I'll make an exception, though. What's your favorite Warframe frame?
Oh, are you asking me?
I guess, yeah. It's been so long, you don't have it. It's fine. You don't
No, the ones that I think the ones I played the most as were Saren, Mesa, Ivara, and Trinity. I think were the 3 that I played the most of. Or were the 4 that I played the most of.
They should add Jehuti as an unlockable mech. Get a reference to Zone of the Enders going. That'd be fun. That'd get me into it. I think it'd be a perfect fit, but I know very little about Warframe, so probably not.
Well, Jehuti's going to be too big for a Warframe. Warframes are like the size of a person.
They'll shrink it down.
Yeah. I know people want me to play more Warframe because they just added an AK to Warframe.
Yeah, is that...
It literally just looks like an AK. It like is actually an AK.
This mech is gun.
No, as a weapon, because there's a bunch of different weapons.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the weapon that I used a lot. One of the weapon that I primarily used in Warframe was a giant. We jokingly called it the Spartan laser from like Halo because you had to charge it up in order to fire it. But then I had put like a ton of mods on it to increase reload speed. So basically, I would hold it down and it would take like 1/4 of a second to charge this weapon, and it was just stupidly powerful. So I would just run around just going weep poof, weep poof, weep poof, just blasting everything. It was really funny.
All right.
Damn it! Now I kind of want to go back and play Warframe.
There you go.
What have you done? Who asked us that first question?
I don't remember.
What have you done? Now I'm considering Warframe. Damn it!